Hey, Dave Localio at HeadGames Motorworks. Welcome back. We are going to talk about what do I use for grinders, what do I use for burrs, what do I use for cartridge rolls, how do I use it, when do I use it. Check it out. I get a lot of messages asking what cartridge rolls do I use, what burrs do I use. Now we've tried to put those in the beginning of some of our other videos talking about porting, but we felt like this is going to be a good avenue for people to learn exactly what are we talking about. This is the 1/4 inch. We use this for deburring. This is the 1/2 inch. I got these on 2 different sizes, and they don't come 2 different sizes. I just cut them down, but this is our super spiral 1/2 inch. This is our 5/8. This is a high helix, and our super spiral 3/4. This is the baddest dude you'll ever use. This takes out a lot of material. 1/4 inch burr for removing any kind of burrs or slag, metal slag that comes off of a cylinder head. This makes it so it's easy to touch, and you don't have to worry about getting cut, and it looks better. And you don't have any small little metal fragments that are always in cylinder heads, or even blocks. If you decide to use it for a block, it won't have anything that would fall into the engine. This is our 1/2 inch super spiral burr. It is the most versatile burr that we use out of all of them. So if you're on the fence about what to get, this is the one. I use it for everything. Now we're showing it in 2 different sizes. That's something that I cut down, and I cut it down because sometimes I need long reach, sometimes I need short reach. So if I'm doing a full port and it's a long port like an LS, I'll use it in full 6-inch long. And if I'm going to do a combustion chamber, I'm going to use the shorter one. I use it for combustion chambers, I use it for full ports, I use it for pocket ports, I use it for fine grinding. You just turn it down and it'll leave like a really nice finish. This is the burr. If you are a beginner, this is where you start. And here we got our 5/8 burr. This burr is like the middle of the road. I use it for roughing stuff out. I don't use it at all for doing any kind of fine grinding. I just try to make things bigger, or like, you know, if I need some speed, this is my guy. It helps me shape some fins. It helps me shape a lot of different things. You can turn the speed up and it will make the shape very quickly. And now this is the bad boy. This is the 3/4 super spiral burr. This is the baddest burr you'll ever use. Like, when I say it will fly metal, if somebody's standing next to you, they're getting hit with it. It also, because it moves material so quickly, it is for a expert only hand. Now, I use this especially if I'm going to use something that needs to be a circle or a semicircle. This is the burr I use because not only would it take the material out, its shape, which is a ball, will automatically lend itself to making the shape very easy. Again, this burr is not for the novice, and it's really not for the intermediate. Maybe that guy, if you have some experience, you could try to use this burr, but do it on a junk head first. Don't try to do it on something that you're going to use, because you could ruin something very quickly. This is our 3/8 burr. It's a double cut burr that is made to just do some fine grinding. Now, I would not use this burr ever to shape something. I know a lot of guys want to just take out casting flash. You're wasting your time, but this might kind of work. But the 1/2 inch would be a much better option because it would just take it out that much faster. And then you can hit it again with the 3/8, and the 3/8 is made to just make things fine and nice, but it's not made to move material around, especially on aluminum. It'll leave divots. It will really kind of ruin your work. You can find these burrs and more on our website and also on our social media stores. Check them out. They have pricing, and unfortunately we don't ship all over the world, but you can also go on to Google. Google can be your friend here. You can find a USA shipping address. We ship it to that, and it goes off to you. The other question I get is, what do I use for sanding? How do I sand stuff? Like, how do I get the finish I'm looking for? Well, here's some cartridge rolls. Let's go over them real quickly. This is a 3/8 cartridge roll. When I'm going to make the finishing touches on the combustion chamber, I'll hit it with this small one, and then I go back over it with some Scotch-Brite to just get rid of the glue, because these things are glued together As you can see on the end here, it has some glue, and when this glue comes off on the aluminum, it has some black marks. I just go back over it with some Scotch-Brite and get rid of the black marks. This is a 1/2 inch 60 grit roll that I use pretty much on everything. I use this for intake ports. I use this to rough out exhaust ports. I use this to, as I say, it's just the most versatile thing you could ever use. And it has the length to it. The length to it really helps because you can get it down pretty far before you are going to run out. And the other thing is you want to pay attention to the square. A lot of the kits that you see sold have these in a tapered cartridge roll, and you probably have a hard time using them because they suck, and you really just need to not do that and buy these square ones. Then there's the 120 grit 1/2 inch. Now this one I would use for exhaust ports only. This is, as you can tell, pretty much the same design. It's square, it's 120. So I'd use this on the intake, this on the exhaust. You're gonna rough in with the 60 grit, and then you can slow the grinder down and hit it with the 120, and then you're good to go. This is a 3/4 60 grit cartridge roll. Now this one, I use it for really anywhere I can fit it, because if I can fit it in something, which means like a 1/2 circle, or if we're gonna do like a Subaru exhaust port, anywhere it will fit, it will lend itself, because of its shape and size, that it will keep the shape much easier than a smaller cartridge roll. What do I grind with? That question. Here's a couple grinders to take a look at. Now, this is my primary. I use this because it's a Cleco grinder. I can put the link on this. It is a front exhaust. So I use the front exhaust because I want to blow everything away from me. What I do want to show you is, I was mentioning the front exhaust. This is a side exhaust. So it's the same grinder, but the exhaust comes out on this side. Right now, I'm not a big fan of that. We just own one. It is what it is. We don't use it for any grinding. And then a lot of the grinders that you will find out in the market have the exhaust in the rear. So as you're grinding, all the air is coming back at you. And what that means is everything's pulling in front of you, and then you can't really see your work. That's why I use the front exhaust. You need a speed control. So I would maybe grind with 3/4 to all the way, and I go half in, maybe halfway into doing like something fine. Now the electric grinder, this is a Makita GDO 603. This thing changed my life. I use it for pretty much all of the grinding because I can use any burr in it, and it does not, and I can use it full blast, and it just never bends. So if like I put this burr into this tool, I would bend this. I put this in the electric grinder, and I can use a full blast, and it's never bent on me. I never have a problem. Now, Makita has 2 grinders. You have to make sure you get the GDO because although it's a little weaker and you might go through one, it's really the better way to go because you won't have to worry about bending anything. Again, speed control. Speed control is very important. This one's from Goodson. Very important to get a speed controller for all of these. Here's my advice. Get one of these. Get one of these and a speed controller. I say that because these are $120. They work off of your electricity, and they're much easier to handle, and it can grind really anything. Would I use this to sand? Absolutely not. I would not use this to sand anything. It starts to pool in front of you, and it just doesn't lend itself very nicely to sanding. If you're going to sand something, you can buy yourself a cheap Blue Point, or even Harbor Freight actually has a couple of grinders. They're cheap air grinders. They don't take a lot of air, so you can use a smaller air compressor, and you could sand with them. The problem is Harbor Freight, I think, has maybe one that has a front exhaust. It's up to you. The rear exhaust, again, you're going to have air coming at you, and it's going to pull in front of you. These grinders, unfortunately, are a lot of money. So these things are like $700 and some dollars. These have a lot of torque, and literally you could grind anything you want with this, and it will last for years. That's it for me today. Be sure to like, comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what you want to see. Tell me what you haven't seen. Ask me questions. Whatever you want to do. I'm always in the comments. Toodles.